me for this service. It's always a beautiful experience for me. I really enjoy it. And when I'm not able to join, in fact, I consider that I have not been able to render my service somehow. So thank you so much for considering me for this seva.
Good fortune, Mataji.
So,
Thank you so much.
so we'll start actually here in our congregation also we had been trying to cover few topics in the sense like it all began with the 5 subjects of Bhagavad Gita and the different tattvas that we are made with. So 24 tattvas and the 5 themes that we have, 5 subjects that we have, primary subjects. So in that connection, we had we had started this. And in that process, I realized that there are a lot of misconceptions related to Maya Devi or Prakriti. So I thought we can have some interesting session, and I welcome a lot of interactivity. Maybe we can have it at the end of the session. And in between, I'll just try to share some short presentation that I have made. So off we go. I just start with the share screen. And please accept my humble obeisances. Hare Krishna to all the devotees here. Are you all able to see on your screen?
Yes, Mataji.
I don't know how it is showing though. Is it showing only the slide or it's showing the notes also?
It
How
is
is
showing
it?
only slides, Mataji.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's a short presentation, but I've just tried to capture. I'll not be dealing with the basic things here because I assume that we keep discussing it, but we will try to study it, how it can take us closer to Krishna. Because generally Maya Devi or Prakriti is considered as a big obstacle on the path of bhakti. Of course, it's one way it is an obstacle, and at the same time, it's also a blessing in disguise. So my perspective of presentation here is material nature or Prakriti, which is a kind of opportunity to rectify Krishna Vimukha Jivas. Krishna Mukha is those who are facing Krishna, those who are always engaged in his service. Even in Bhagavad Gita, we hear when Krishna says there are 2 birds sitting on the tree of our body, and one is Paramatma, and the second one is the Jiva. That Jiva is trying to enjoy the fruit. It's not facing towards Krishna, it's not facing towards the Paramatma. So we are those Jivas who are trying to enjoy. We are trying to find happiness in sense gratification, and we are not facing towards Krishna. So we are Krishna Vimukha Jivas. But then for Krishna Vimukha Jivas also, Krishna is so merciful that he gives us an opportunity to go back to him, to turn towards him. So how this material nature can be exercised as an opportunity to return to him. So we will be studying Prakriti from that perspective. Of course, there will be many more aspects also coming in the course of the discussion, but this is the basic thread of discussion that I wish to keep. So the very first slide, the covering slide itself, I chose a beautiful, like Radha Krishna picture where they're always, she's trying to serve him, and he is there. He is also trying to derive the pleasure in her service. So we can also be engaged in that, but we are so far away. And here I wanted, like before we start, I wanted to give a glimpse of the spiritual world, what we are missing actually. We think we are enjoying so much here. We feel we are so happy, but then we do not know it. We are feeling so because we do not know what we are missing. A person who has never tasted gulab jamun will never miss it. But somehow if we get a small piece of that, we get to know a little bit of, oh, this is how it tastes, then we will have a desire, oh yes, I want to take more of that. So here, when we try to see what kind of life actually exists in spiritual world, we will develop a desire to go there. Otherwise, it more or less it remains theoretical. We keep saying we want to go back to Godhead, we want to go to Golok Vrindavan. But what is actually waiting for there, for us? How the life actually goes on, how every moment goes on there. So I just wanted to give a glimpse of that. See how beautiful it looks, like he's seated there. Of course, this is in Vaibhav Bhava, because Prabhupada always mentioned that even when we do deity worship, we should worship him in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan. We are not on that plane to go so intimate. So here I have chosen Vaibhav Bhava. So he's seated there on the throne, and everybody is engaged. Each one of the entity there, be it lotus flowers, the flower, the musicians, singers, they're collecting flowers in the basket, and they're all looking at him. All the time they are just worried about one thing: is he getting pleased by my service or not? And there's so much of bliss. Nowhere we can see, one iota of worry. It's so blissful, and we are missing this. Even we could have been like, we were there, of course, but now also we can go there, but we have not developed that kind of intensity of desire. In my screen it's cutting. Yeah, I'll get that. So what is it, what is the pivot of spiritual world? The Krishna who is the life and soul of spiritual world. Here also he is, but we don't acknowledge it. We think of the whole world revolves around us only. So all our activities, they revolve around our sense gratification. And in spiritual world, Krishna is the pivot around whose every desire, every pleasure, everything is defined by him only. And how other things are? Chintamani prakarasat mashukalpa vriksha laksharetesh surabhirabhipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasrashata Sambrama Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Krishna, who is the original, the first progenitor, he is busy in tending the cows, yielding all desire. Like all, we have all kinds of trees who fulfill all desires, and we have a board built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees or desire trees, and everybody is engaged in serving. Thousands and thousands of Lakshmis are there, just hankering to serve him somehow. And Krishna is there, he full in his complete opulence, which is absolute, perfect in every way. So beauty, strength, we hear all this, and and we in order to understand this, what do we say? Like, what do we understand when we say perfect beauty or absolute beauty? Then we try to understand through different pastimes. But there we can see him all personified, sitting right in front of us. It would be so blissful. So he's there seated on his throne, and so life in spiritual world and the jivas, jivera swarupa hoy, krishnera nityadas. So everybody is placed in their original position. They understand what is their original swarupa, that they are Krishna's nityadas. Here we are godas, but there everybody is krishnera nityadas. So of incessant loving devotional service to the source of all bliss, Krishna. And that is the key to eternal happiness. And I have tried to discuss how Sat, Chit, and Ananda Sarupa. Sat is, of course, timelessness. So there is no Shat Vikaras, no six changes of the body there, no sorrow, no Janma, no Mrityu. So no old age, no disease. And since these problems are not there, naturally everybody will be happy, and there will be eternity also. And there is chit or knowledge, because everybody is situated in their original position. They have the highest knowledge how we are connected to the Lord, which is the highest knowledge one can think of. So one is aware of that. They know their position, with complete realization. Here we think we know, but it is not knowledge, it is information. We have this information that we are connected to the Lord, but we haven't come to the plane of knowledge and realization. And then the Ananda, the bliss of serving the absolutely most opulent Krishna, the most attractive. A few days ago, I got a call from one of the Matajis. She was just sharing it with me. She said, Mataji, I'm feeling so happy. I'm able to serve one devotee. She is the wife of the temple president, and I'm feeling so good. Well, wow, that's really nice. And then I was thinking, see, temple president's wife is there, and when we serve them, we feel so good. Then how good will we feel when we are serving the universal president, the president of all, the complete creation, the origin of everything, Sarva Karana Karanam? How much pleasure will there be? It's of course beyond imagination, but we can always try to unravel the layers and layers that lie underneath. And here we have the most beautiful one standing in front of us, surrounded by devotees and with cows and calves behind him. We can be one of them. We can be there. So, what is it which is stopping us? Because there, the only engagement is rendering loving service to the Lord. The conception of spiritual bliss or Brahmanand is fully present in those planets. Those planets are spiritual planets and free from all kinds of inebriates experienced in the material world. The inhabitants of those planets are liberated from birth, death, old age, and diseases and have full knowledge of everything. They are all godly and free from all sorts of material hankerings. They have nothing to do there except to render transcendental service to the Supreme Lord. Here we have time for everything but to render service to the Lord. And earlier I remember in the beginning when like I was trying to learn the things, it was considered like the definition of a good devotee was one who is very regular to the weekly Sunday program. The person who attends the Sunday program, he is a fantastic devotee. So going by those standards, I was considered very good devotee. But then I realized soon how foolish I am. When Prabhupada says ISKCON, it's Krishna consciousness 24/7. It's not a weekly thing. Every moment we have to be conscious of the Lord, how we are connected to Him, how we can try to serve Him. That consciousness, that awareness has to be there every moment. So we have to think, we have to analyze and introspect how many moments are we giving to the Lord. So the Lord and his eternal servitors in the transcendental kingdom all have eternal forms, which are auspicious, infallible, spiritual, and eternally youthful. In the words, there is no birth, death, old age, and disease. That eternal land is full of transcendental enjoyment and full of beauty and bliss. This is from one of the purport given by Srila Prabhupada. I was just reading about the history of Diksha in our Sampradaya. And in one of that, I read one incident where one devotee, of course, very exalted devotee, he approaches his guru for Diksha. So his guru, he asks him, what is that service that you really love to render? So he says, I feel like making fresh garlands for the Lord every day. And Guru immediately says, I was expecting this. Actually, your original position is this. And he gives him that name. He says, now this initiated name that I'm giving you is the name that you have in the spiritual world. That is Diksha. Diksha connects us to the spiritual world. We all belong there. But unfortunately, from that great spiritual planet, we have fallen down. We are no longer there. So the slide is titled as the fall down. Why this fall down? Because everywhere, be it the spiritual planet or be it the material world, in both the places, every time Krishna, out of his mercy, he gives us something called free will. Because without free will, he can't enjoy, we also can't enjoy. If we somebody like a robo, he just goes on saying, oh, I love you, Vrindavanlila, I cannot enjoy because just a recorder is being played there. But if that person actually feels it from within and he says, oh, I really love you and I want to serve you, it will give me so much more happiness. So that is why Krishna has given us one tiny infinitesimal free will, and that infinitesimal thing we have misused. We have misused, and because of that misuse, we are here. We have fallen down. We didn't know how to value it. But then Krishna is Swarata. We had small, and this is what we did. But he is complete. His whole body is Swarat means is complete. It's all will only. So free will by Swarata Krishna, both in the material world or spiritual world. So misuse of independence or free will. As soon as one feels a little envy of the Lord, little bit of enviousness, little trace of the dirt comes in us, we no longer belong to the spiritual planet. There is no room for that kind of dirt. That's why we are sent here for cleaning. So Cheto Darpana Marjanam. So we have to clean that. If we are not able to clean, we'll continue to live here only. So there, no room. But in material world, there is something which is not found in the spiritual planet. If anybody would like to answer, they can speculate. There is something which is there in the material world, but not in the spiritual planet. What could that be? But it's something very beautiful. Any speculations?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, we have the association of Krishna there, 24 hours.
Yes, no, I'm saying in material world we have that thing extra. It's not there in the spiritual world.
It's not there in the spiritual. Okay.
Yes. Here we have the opportunity to preach. There everybody is already a devotee. How will we go out and preach? Here we are all like, there are demons like Vrindavanlila moving around. So there is an opportunity to preach. But there, since everybody is a devotee, whom will you go out and preach? So we should try to make the most of that opportunity. That one opportunity does not exist in spiritual planet. That's why even Krishna has to descend to the material world to perform his other pastimes of killing asuras and all. Whom will he kill there? So this is one thing which is extra here, bonus for us. So there we always have choice whether we want to love Krishna or not. That free will is always there. And without such love, the living being becomes conditioned. This is where the conditioning starts. When we developed that ulterior, abominable desire to either to enjoy like him or to be envious of him or no desire to serve him, from there only the whole thing starts. Our misuse of free will starts. And then we separate ourselves. We were like enjoying so nicely. We saw a glimpse of the spiritual world and suddenly we are down. So there's a total disregard of devotional service, and there we fall. The living beings fall from the spiritual strata. We have also done, this. It feels so bad. Whenever I used to think about this, I used to think so bad I am, how sinful I am. Otherwise, earlier there was such high opinion about myself, but the more we know, the more we realize how sinful we are. So since free will is the starting point, that is the trigger point, which made us fall down, we will just try to understand little bit. We'll try to understand because the focus is more on material world as such. So this is a quote from a letter from Srila Prabhupada. Formerly we were with Krishna in his Leela, because there are many times there are many such doubts. So I'm just emphasizing this, that There was always a time when we were there with him. So Dr. John is asking, did all the souls that were in the spiritual sky fall out of the spiritual sky at once or at different times? Or are there any souls that are always good? They are not foolish. They don't fall down. Then Srila Prabhupada says, no, there are. In fact, majority, 90%, they are always good. They never fall down. So Dr. John is saying, so we are among the 10%. And Srila Prabhupada says, yes. Just like in the prison house, there is some population, but they are not majority. The majority of the population, they are outside the prison house. Similarly, majority of living beings, part and parcel of God, they are in the spiritual world. Only a few fall down. The first sinful will of the living entity is to become the Lord. And the consequent will of the Lord is that the living entity forget his factual life and thus dream of the land of utopia, where he may become one like the Lord. So here the contamination begins. Even in our daily life, we see, like, even when we are living in a city, any city, there is always big city, but it will always have a small place for prison house for those who have done wrong. Same way, Krishna has also made prison house for those who have erred, who have gone wrong, for people like us. So that prison house is this material world where we are. So creation of material world for errands. But then it's always meant to correct. Why do we have prison house? It's just not for punishing, but to rectify. So if we have been sent here, we have been sent here with the purpose of realizing that we have gone wrong. We have erred here. We have erred. We have done some mistake. So realize that, correct ourselves, and then go back. That is why everywhere, wherever, in whatever state we may be in, however fallen we may be, however degenerate we may be, but Krishna never abandons us. He is there seated in our heart as Paramatma. And at the same time, he always sends the knowledge how to come out of this prison house, because prison house is never a place for gentlemen. So this is happening despite we having rebelled against him. We have rebelled, but he is creating the material world for our rectification, for giving us an opportunity to go back to him. So material nature also comes from him. Actually, after a few slides, I'll share how we share a few misconceptions about material world or about Durgaji. So I gave this picture. So everything comes from him. But then, of course, Krishna shares a very interesting relationship with the material nature. He is never directly connected to her. He's connected and yet not connected. He remains the Adhyaksha. Under his guidance only everything works. But directly he never associates with Durgaji, with material nature as such. But since he is the cause of all causes, Sarva Karana Karanam, so everything comes from him, including material nature. In fact, material nature is a reflection of his mercy and compassion, because that way he's giving us an opportunity to rectify ourselves and go back to him. So this world is a reminder that we have another opportunity to correct our misdeeds. In some of the faiths, they say if you are doomed, you are eternally doomed. But it's not so. Actually, Krishna gives opportunity to everybody to rectify at some point or the other, like it's not that if we are here, then we'll remain here for all times to come. It's not like that. Every form, in every form or in whatever form we may be, we have the opportunity. Like even when we turn into ghost, we take some wrong decision, we lose our gross body and we turn to ghost. There also Krishna doesn't abandon us. He has Bhutanatha, he has Shivaji. So in that state also, if somebody takes his Sharanagati, then he being the greatest Vaishnava, he takes us back to Krishna. So at every point, he is there to guide us, but we are not ready to take his shelter. So Maya works two ways. It works in two ways. How? One is called Avaranatmika Shakti and one is Prakshapatamika Shakti. So Avaranatmika Avaran is the cover. So using that, she covers our intelligence. We are not able to understand many things because we are all the time guided by our senses. We have the tendency to gratify our senses. That covers our intelligence. And second is it pulls us down. Prakshapatmika pulls us down in the sense like we are in a very bad state, but then we don't realize that we are in a fallen state. We feel we are enjoying so much. So this kind of illusion that enjoying in that fallen state itself is 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 the potency of Maya Devi Prakshapatamika Shakti. So that is one way, like two ways, and then she works by inflicting three types of miseries: Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika, and Adhyatmika kleshas or miseries. Adhyatmika is dealing with our own body. Our own body starts giving us trouble when we grow old or we have disease. It can be in so many ways. So our own body, even if others are not doing anything, still our own body will start giving us trouble. And then Adi Devika, when there is some supernatural disaster like flood, famine, whatever way. And Adi Bhautika is when we have problems from other living entities. My neighbor is not being very cooperative. They are not letting me do Sankirtan. So we have misery. Or mosquitoes are coming and biting us. We feel miserable. So Adi Bhautika. So these are three types of miseries. And while binding the jivas, what is that we in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, we read the term Nitya Baddha Jiva. So Baddha Jiva, when we use the word Baddha, Baddha means tied. So what are we tied in? We are tied in the ropes of three gunas: Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna, and Tamo Guna. When we are bound, we don't realize that actually Maya Devi is making us dance like a puppet. We think Ahankara Vimhudatma Kartaham iti manyate. But we think we are the doers. Actually, we are like a puppet in the hands of Maya Devi or material nature. And thus also in the ropes of karma. Since we are all our activities are revolving around our sense gratification, so we are also earning our karma. And tied in the rope of karma, we are trapped here like a prisoner in this material world. So body consciousness and material nature. प्रकृतेः क्रियामाणानि गुणैः कर्माणि सर्वशः अहंकार विमूढ़ात्मा कर्ताहम iti manyate. So carrying her trident, she looks for the rebellious souls. Who is looking? Durgaji is looking, or Prakriti is looking. Like a loving mother, this is very important. Goddess Durga continuously gives a clarion call to all the forgetful souls to return back to the kingdom of Krishna. But the stubborn souls who desire to enjoy independent of the Supreme Lord and love to disobey the laws of Krishna need to be punished. And Durga, carrying her trident, looks for such rebellious souls to punish them. The trident, which she always carries with her, represents the threefold material miseries, which we read just now. And here, this is a very familiar picture, but very important one also at the same time. So his material nature is very powerful. Krishna's material nature. When the moment we use the word, because in Hindi or in Sanskrit, the word for this is Prakriti. Prakriti means Swabhava or nature. So whose Prakriti is that? It is Krishna's Prakriti. It is Krishna's Swabhava. And what is Krishna's Swabhava? Krishna's Swabhava is being compassionate, being merciful, and being loving. That is why even Prakriti, by giving us misery, is actually showing Krishna's mercy to us. I'll just try to explain it through one example. Recently, we shifted our house and we live with a cow. Her name is Surabhi. So she was not ready to shift with us. Like she was not able to understand why are they so eager to change the house. Everything was going on fine. I was enjoying so nicely. I was going to the Goshala, meeting my friends. So she was not so agreeable, like coming along with us. We arranged a nice vehicle for her, but then because of her history, uh, like she was actually being taken on Bakrid. So few devotees had got together, rescued her and kept her at one place. But from that day, she developed a fear for the vehicles. So we tried very hard for more than 5 hours. We struggled to put her in that van, but she refused. She enjoyed herself, but she was not ready to go back. Then we were thinking, what do we do? And this place is pretty far. So finally we thought, okay, 18 kilometers, we'll walk all the way. But then before that, we had to ready her. And all the time she was kept free. She was never kept tied. So she was. Hare Krishna. I request the devotees to kindly mute themselves. It's affecting the sound quality. Thank you so much for your cooperation. So we told the person there, the Goshala in charge, we requested that person, like if you create problem in the Goshala, then she will realize what she is actually missing. If she comes along with us, it will be better for her. So that Goshala wala person, earlier he never used to tie her because we also never used to tie at home. So from that day, he kept her tied because after 4 days, again, we had gone to bring her back. So for 4 days, she was kept tied. And then on the fifth day when we went, she happily came along with us. So tied. So Krishna also ties us so that somehow we realize, acha, that original position was only better. And then we make an effort to go back to him. So it's not that when we are tied or something, it's always like he's showing his anger at us. It's not like that. That's all his mercy. So here also, when we are bound in karma or in three gunas, that's actually his mercy. But we have to understand it, we have to analyze it properly, and then only we can capitalize on that opportunity. So how are we tied? Sattvam, Rajas, Tama iti Guna Prakriti Sambhava Nibadhananti Mahabaho Deh Dehinam Avyayam. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjun, he becomes conditioned by these modes. So, this is how we are kept tied. So, material nature offers hellish condition. As I said, like to Subhi, like we requested that person to keep her tied. So same way here also we are tied and we are having a very difficult condition. It is hellish. If we tend to enjoy here and we don't see any difficulty, then we will never have the desire to go back. So deliberately Krishna is creating this kind of condition that we remember him and then we develop the desire to go back to him. So there is hellish condition here. Nitya bandha Krishna haite nitya bahirmukha nitya samsara bhunje narakadi dukkha. Apart from the ever liberated devotees, there are the conditioned souls who always turn away from the service of the Lord. They are perpetually conditioned in this material world and are subjected to the material tribulations brought about by different bodily forms in hellish conditions. So these hellish conditions are there, but they are meant to take us back actually. And this is the material world, and the illusioned jiva suffers. And I have just given a small picture of the 14 planetary systems, and all those 14 planetary systems, they're all a part of the material world. And Durga Devi, or the material nature. She is the one who is the presiding deity of this 14 lokas. So there can be a variation in the degree of the impact of the gunas, but then it is there, whether it is the lower planetary systems or hellish planetary systems or higher planetary systems. Everywhere one is tied, one is baddha. So how does it impact? Illusory. She causes false identification with the body. Temporary. Everything is temporary here. There's nothing permanent, unlike the spiritual world. The cosmos is created and annihilated in innumerable cycles. We don't know from when it has started. It's a cycle, it's a chakra, it's a kala chakra. It just manifests and then gets annihilated, manifests, annihilated. And then we have its inferior, engages the living entities in the activities of sense gratification. And external consists of the 5 gross and 3 subtle elements, as it is mentioned even in Bhagavad Gita, how we are designed, how our body is designed, and what are the tattvas we are made with. So his material nature, but then this material nature has 2 aspects. Generally, we talk only about Mahamaya, but there's Yogamaya also. Yogamaya helps us in rendering service to Krishna. But here all the time we are experiencing Mahamaya. But in Mahamaya form also, which keeps us away from Krishna in the different ways that we just saw in the previous slide. Even in that form, she is very merciful. And here I have just captured the picture of where few dacoits were trying to sacrifice Jada Bharat to Kali Mata or Durga Ji. So that time she appears and she in fact kills them, protecting Jada Bharat, so protecting the devotee. So that way she is very merciful. So how does she show her mercy? She punishes the stubborn sinners, those who are stubbornly sinful. She goes on punishing. Okay, punish, and that way they will get rectified. So that way it's an opportunity to rectify, to realize that we are sinning. See, we are suffering so much. We are sinning and we are suffering. We are sinning and suffering. So come out of it. Let us rectify ourselves. Let us change ourselves. And by strengthening the sadhakas, those who are sinful, they are being punished. And those who are practicing, to them she poses different types of challenges. And by posing those challenges, she makes them stronger and stronger in their sadhana, in their bhakti. And then those who are bhaktas, she is protecting them. So that way she helps purify the conditioned souls. So it is lust only which induces the pure living entity to remain entangled in the material world. Then what are the general misconceptions that are related to Prakriti? Generally, it is believed, it is considered that she is working independent. That is why we have many worshippers of Durga Ji. They do not understand her real position and they think she is independent. She is the one who is the source of everything. But then we all know those who are with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. They have come in contact with Bhagavad Gita as it is. They know that she is not working independently. It is under the adhakshata of the Supreme Lord. So the material world is false. They say sab kuch mithya hai. It's all false, but it's not false. This is also real. We have to face it. And if we face it with the right mood, only then we'll be able to break the shackles of Prakriti and come out of it. So this is a misconception. Material nature is the cause of this material world. That's not the reason, like that's not the right reason, as we studied earlier also. It's basically our misuse of free will. So it's not material nature which is the cause of this material world. And the fourth general misconception is that life comes from matter. So after having just gone through that, then now we have kind of understood, how we are placed, how Krishna is merciful. We have to fall in one of the categories. Either we are sinful, either we are sadhakas, or we are bhaktas. So in whatever state we are in, Krishna is ready to take us back. He is eager to take us back. This is where we have to capitalize. So Krishna, as our well-wishing Supreme Father, well-wishing friend, does not abandon us, though we have been sinful. Seated as Paramatma in everyone's heart, he doesn't leave. Whether we are in the body of a pig, we are in the body of a rat, snake, in the body of an atheist, but he is there, he doesn't leave. And he incarnates to remind our forgotten lessons. He himself descends. Where is the need for him to come to this material world as such? By his mere desire itself, things will happen. He need not do anything. If even like let it be any strong demon, does he need to incarnate here? As Paramatma, if he just comes out of the heart, it's done. They'll collapse. He just has to come out of their heart. But then he comes and fights, and we think, whoa, what a major fight. That's why it's all Leela. Nato Natya Dharo Yatha, as Kunti Maharani says. And then he himself descends. Then he also sends his representatives in the form of devotees like Prabhupada, our gurus. And then he creates auspicious entities also. We have dham, we have sacred rivers, we have different ways, through which he is going on reminding us, this is your original identity, please come back. This is the way you can purify. And then still he is not satisfied. Still he leaves his instructions in the form of shastras. These are the instructions, follow them, understand, and come back to me. Yet again he says, I will not leave you. I'll be present in the name of sound. I'll be present in the name of, in my name, in my holy name. So that way also he tries to help us. Then he offers the solutions to all the possible challenges of Jiva in all the ages through above. In none of the ages, in none of the yugas, he has ever abandoned us. In every yuga, he has been there in one way or the other. So as his separated part and parcel, returning is only natural for an intelligent jiva. It's not that if we are doing some kind of sadhana and trying to work on that, going back, it's not natural. It should come spontaneously. One need not do Bhakti Shastri or Bhakti Vaibhav to realize that Krishna is the supreme person. Those who are very complicated, we need different kind of evidences. But those who are simple at heart, like gopis, it's done for them. They didn't do anything. So what do we have to do? Just surrender our tiny, infinitesimal free will to Krishna. I'm yours. You do what you want with me. Only that has to be surrendered. That is also very tiny. If we surrender that, our job is done. Having unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord as one's protector, friend, and master is the natural condition of eternal life. A living entity is so made by the will of the Almighty that he is most happy when placing himself in a condition of absolute dependence. In dependency comes our real independence, actually. The opposite tendency is the cause of fall down. The living entity has this tendency of falling down by dint of misidentifying himself as fully independent to lord it over the material world. The root cause of all troubles is there in false egoism. One must draw towards the Lord in all circumstances. So we can only design Titanic. We design, but then that Titanic, what happens? It just sinks. Whatever towers we may be erecting, to gratify our senses, it's all useless. It's only going to make us drown in the material ocean. And on our own, if we try to come out of this material ocean of birth and death, we cannot do it. How we cannot do it? When we study Bhagavatam, that time itself, it's clearly mentioned in the creation part, how Srishti takes place. So Srishti takes place with the three gunas. We are made up of three gunas. So how will we transcend three gunas? If I am khoya, then how can I separate milk from khoya? It cannot. We cannot do it. So if I am made up of three gunas, how can I overcome three gunas? I have to take help of somebody who is above the three gunas, who is transcendental to three gunas. Who is that personality? It's only Krishna. And Krishna and his representatives. He sends his representatives in the form of Guru, be it Shiksha Guru or Diksha Guru, but we need those transcendental personalities around us. So when we surrender through them, then he shows his grace and mercy to us to help us cross this otherwise impossible material ocean. So when we do that, then what happens? When we surrender the free will, then what happens? Samshritaye padapallava plavam mahat padam punya yasho murare bhavam budhirvatsa padam param padam 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 yad vipadam natesham. This is a beautiful verse. So for one who has accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the demon Mura, the ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoof print. So his goal is Param Padam or Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger at every step. The material ocean then turns to a calf's hoof print. It's not even cows, chota calf. It will become so easy. Otherwise, it is impossible. So how does it become easy? Just because we have surrendered our free will to Krishna, that chutku tiny free will, just by that. And then here we are. Krishna is hugging us. It's possible. It's doable. If we just try to understand his energy, which is, Krishna also says, Mama Maya Durattaya. It's very difficult. But then if we surrender to him, it becomes very easy because it is his energy. So she has to listen to the energetic. So I end my presentation here. So I felt that this way we'll be able to realize our real Swarupa, understand his mercy and compassion, even in Mahamaya, even in material world, even in material nature. And that way we can make the most of the opportunity that we have in the form of this human body that we have been gifted with. I hope it helps. If anybody has any kind of question or doubt, I welcome it. I'll try my best to answer. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji. Actually, whenever we are hearing from you, it's so enlightening, Mataji. How material nature works on us and how actually material nature is Krishna's energy. And Krishna wants us to come to him. And with your class, the understanding is very clear. Somehow or other, she is making us realize this place is not meant for us.
Yes.
So she is helping us in other way, we'll see. But we are not able to realize, Mataji. So my question is this only, Mataji. Like in your this presentation, you mentioned so many points. And actually, in other way around, if you'll see material nature, she's not troubling us, she's helping us to make us realize that we are in not good condition. This material world is dukhalam ashashwata.
Yes.
And this is not our real position. Our real position, as you mentioned, is it is a Jivera Swarup Hoy Krishna Nityadas.
Yes.
But Madhavi, whenever we are hearing from a devotees who realizes, like you, and after hearing Mataji, that vibration is there for 1 hour, 2 hours. Again, we'll hear some classes. Again, we'll get association of devotees by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. But after some time, Mataji, somehow or other, like you mentioned, there are two categories, how she's pulling us down. So sometimes, Prashidatmak. So sometimes that force we are feeling more, Mataji. So what is the cause for that? We are not sincerely performing our sadhana, or whatever association we are getting, we are not able to, we are hearing, but we are not able to apply. So how in that means how we can take this positively? Like whatever problem we are facing, that is only we can realize our constitutional position. But then also Matsi again will say Mahamaya, she is helping us, but we are seeing that in a wrong way.
Yes,
कि हाँ
actually,
ये तो-
our perspective has to be rectified. Even when
yeah.
we say dukhalayam,
Hmm.
why are dukhas there? Dukhas are there because that is why we will develop a desire to go back. If we start enjoying here, if there is sukha here, we will never want to go back to him. As I
Hmm.
said, we made that Goshala person to tie our surbi.
Yes.
Because if she enjoys there, then she'll think I'm
Yeah.
nicely enjoying. Na? I have so many
Hmm.
friends here. Why should I go back with them? So if that dukha is there, that dukha is meant to make us realize this is not the place where we belong. And when it is not shashwat, it is ashashvatam. That is also such a blessing. Like I have myself personally, I have felt it, whenever there are moments of misery, we all experience distress and all that. Then I think, oh, it's all temporary. It will come to an end. It gives so much of relief. Yes, this miserable condition is not going to last for eternity. It will come to an end. And when something good happens, then also I realize, oh, this will also be temporary. Then it helps us in bringing us to that plane of equipoise. So it's
Hmm.
definitely helping us. But if we think it as a kind of curse, then
Hmm.
it's all gone. Like, for example, in the case of Karna, he
Hmm.
always used to complain. He was never satisfied with his position, isn't it? So
Yes.
if we choose, to not to be complaining all the time, it will help us. It will definitely help us. And that is why we have to have satsanga. We have to have the association of devotees to come out of that negativity to
Hmm.
come out of that negativity. Otherwise, why would devotees like Kunti Maharani say, I want those miseries to fall upon me again and again? Who can ever say that? Her life has been the most difficult one. Like right from her childhood, she was not with her parents. She was given in adoption to somebody else. And there also she got the wound, and at a very young age, unwed mother. And then also she has to part from her son, and even when she is married, she never got the time to spend with her husband as such. He came back with another wife as Madhuri. Like it all
Hmm.
seemed like a story, but if we place ourselves even for a moment in the role of Srimati Kunti Devi, we will realize what all she has gone through. So no sukha of husband, no sukha of parents as such. They're also like, though she was in the palace, but she was always engaged in the service of Rishi Muni. That is how she got the boon also. Unwed mother, later on she's marrying such a nice, like Pandu was a very nice king, but then she gives birth, he also leaves the body, and then she has to take care of her own sons plus the two sons of Madhuri.
Otherwise.
She goes back to her Dhritarashtra, what we say Jet in Hindi, the elder brother of husband. He's supposed to take care of her. But then what happens? It's just the reverse. She has to stay in a place where all the time she's surrounded by danger, not only just for her own self, but even for the sons. And a mother can always understand that more than her, she is worried about the children.
Hmm.
So, and all the time she is surrounded by that, but that kind of anxiety. And there's one incident when Krishna sent somebody to ask about her welfare, like how you are keeping. And when he asks, she says, I'm like a tongue in the mouth, means
Hmm.
surrounded by teeth
Hmm.
who are like enemies. But I'm like a tongue, I'm safe because your mercy is there upon me. So that was her situation. So, but still she was feeling safe. So, of course, they are all Nitya Mukta Jivas, but why they have descended? They have descended for a purpose to show us the positivity of life.
Hmm.
This is how we have to approach. It is difficult. I don't say that it is not difficult. It is difficult, but it is doable.
Possible. Yeah.
It is very much doable. We can do it. It is very much possible. But how does it become possible? When we are in the association of devotees? And we can actually feel it when we are surrounded by devotees. When we are sitting in the satsanga, we can feel so much of positivity. Oh yes, we can do it. Our chanting is so nice. The whatever subjects we discuss, they are so transcendental. Bodhayanta parasparam. So all these kind of things, and definitely we are strengthened. This is what is required. That is why when we talk about the 9 stages of bhakti, satsanga occupies a very important place. So sadhu sangha,
Sadhu Sangha.
this is extremely important.
Thank you, Mataji.
I
So
hope it
Mataji,
helps.
it is late for you, but can we take one or two questions, Mataji, or doubts?
I'm open. I love it.
So Mataji, you can please raise your hand if you have any question or doubts regarding today's session or anything related to your sadhana. So
I would also welcome comments, like if they can suggest me to improve my thing, that is also welcome. I love to improve my service. I cannot be perfect in whatever I'm doing.
yeah, Shamsundari Mataji, you are the host. You can unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranams.
Hare
Mataji, thank you very much for beautifully explaining everything so nicely and giving us an understanding that how can we go back home, back to Godhead. And Mataji, I wanted to know that about Durga Mata. She, as you mentioned, that she is ruling all the 14 planets. So what is her role in those up higher and lower planets? What would she be doing to them? Because here she's trying to test us, and we then in that way we can go back home. But what about the higher and the lower planets? What happens there?
The 14 planetary systems that we have, that I tried to share also in one of the slides. So all the 14 planetary systems, they are a part of the material world. They are called Devi Dham. So Durga Devi is in charge of only this material world. In the material world, Earth is in the middle. Up we have higher planets, down we have lower planets, or hellish planets also we call. So, but wherever one may be, they are all bound by the gunas. Its tie, its shackle may be little loose in the sense, like generally people compare, like Sadguna is compared to golden chain, Rajoguna is compared to silver chain, and tamas or mode of ignorance is compared to iron chain. But chain is a chain. Everywhere one is tied. So as we go in the higher planetary systems, there is more, they are closer to mode of goodness. But the mode is there. So they are tied. They are tied. And in lower planetary systems, there is more of ignorance, mode of ignorance, which is prevailing. So her function remains the same, what we discussed just now, how she's trying to punish the sinners and all, help the sadhakas. But the biggest opportunity that we have is on the planet Earth. Actually, some time back, I was planning I should take one session. Why do we say that Earth or Prithvi has a special place? We call it Karma Bhumi. Why do we call it Karma Bhumi? Because this is the place, this is the planet from where the takeoff takes place. Other planetary, whether it is higher planetary systems or lower planetary systems, there we are just exhausting whatever we have accumulated. Higher planetary systems, we are exhausting the deposits that we have made, and lower planetary systems, whatever loans and all, we are just suffering. So suffering and enjoyment, but one cannot come out, one cannot break the shackle. For that, one has to come to Prithvi only. From Prithvi, one can launch, one can go back to Godhead. But otherwise, we are caught. So this is Karma Bhumi. Basically, we are at the most conducive place and in the most conducive body. So her role is there in all the 14 planetary systems. She is no way connected to the spiritual planets as such. She is the presiding deity of Devi Dham. So her role is here only. Uh, I don't want to go into the detail of that, but yes, in the creation part, she is the one, she is the eternal consort of Shambhu. So from there only the whole thing starts. Like it starts with Krishna's desire, and then it manifests. Karnodakshay Vishnuji comes, he casts his glance, Rama Devi is there, Kala immediately is the catalyst, because until time factor is there, nothing will happen. Everything will be just coming to a grinding halt. So it's a time factor which sets the whole thing in motion. And then when that starts, and because of his glance, Mahavishnu's glance, everything is getting agitated. Shambhu comes in the picture, and then he consorts with Durga Devi, his eternal consort. And after that, the universal egg is born, it appears. So like that, many such universal eggs are there. We are in one of those universal eggs. And then Durgaji becomes the presiding deity of that material egg or the universe. And in every universe, again, Vishnuji expands himself. We have Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, on whose navel Brahmaji appears. So like that, there'll be so many. So in every universe, there'll be one Brahma. And then when all the creation takes place, then again he expands himself as Shirodakshayi Vishnu, as Paramatma seats himself in the heart of everybody. It's slightly complex. It can be studied sometime in detail. But here, Durga Devi Ji's role is of taking care of the Devi Dham, or the 14 planetary systems, the material world that we are talking about. In the spiritual world, it's a different system altogether. There, everybody is liberated. So her role is not there. Had it been there, then it would not be a spiritual world. So even Krishna does not associate himself directly with Durga Devi actually. He does it only through Shambhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, thank you so much. Yes, Mataji. Mataji, can I ask you one more?
Yes, Mataji.
Mataji?
Yes.
Yeah. Mataji, as she is said to be Maya Devi here and Yoga Maya in spiritual world, right?
Yes. Yes.
So what is the difference between Yoga Maya and Mahamaya? Like, what is her role? What is she doing there?
Like here as we studied in one of the slides, here we have sinful people. So she tries to punish them. She tries to pose more and more challenges for those who are doing their sadhana, but she helps to protect those who are doing bhakti. So that is the role of Mahamaya. But when it comes to Yoga Maya, yoga, as the name indicates, she connects to Krishna. She helps us in serving the Lord in a better way. Like I don't know if this is the right platform to discuss. Well, I'll not go into the detail of that. But there's one pastime where Krishna actually starts rolling himself in sand because Radharani is upset with him. She's not speaking to him. So when he is rolling in the sand and crying, he's not under any kind of Maya Devi's prabhava. There, Yoga Maya is helping him in performing that pastime. So that is Yoga Maya. When his devotees are there, when Kaliya's pastime, Yashoda Maya is getting like, Yashoda Maya sees the whole universe in Krishna's mouth. So when those pastimes are being performed, the devotees don't deal with those who are Nitya Muktas. They don't deal with Mahamaya. Their dealings are with Yoga Maya. It's not that Yashoda Maya was under the spell of Mahamaya. She got illusioned. It's not like that. That's a part of Krishna's pastime. So there the dealings are with Yoga Maya. So Yoga Maya comes there when devotees, pure devotees of Krishna and the Lord are there. Am I able to help you?
Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much. Mataji, I had one more, but I will not ask now. If you have time, then I will ask.
No, I love to.
Okay.
Shantanu Mataji, can we take Anupama Mataji's question?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
After that, you can ask Mataji, na?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you so much.
Pranam
Anupama
Mataji.
Mataji.
Yes, thank you. Pranam Mataji. Hare Krishna. It's always a wonderful class of you. My question is that how to come out of subtle state of three modes of material nature and fixed in the mode of goodness or above, because we can see that subtle state of mind is only thing that is not not letting us to do sadhana.
It's like this, suppose Suppose I'm just giving a very gross example, but some way it will help us. Suppose Krishna is situated or located at 100 kilometers distance from us. Suppose I'm just giving example. Then mode of goodness is also far from him. Not that when we are in mode of goodness, we are 100 kilometers. It's not like that. Krishna is at 100, but still we are bound, we are away from him. But mode of goodness brings us little closer to Krishna. So there, say we are at 80 kilometers. And then mode of passion is even far. Say it's 50, 40, whatever. And ignorance is even farther. 5 kilometer, 2 kilometer means 2 kilometer means in the sense we are away. We are so much opposite in the extreme direction of that. That way I mean. So suppose mode of goodness is we are 20 kilometers away from him. Then in the mode of ignorance, we may be totally 100 kilometers away from him. Or say 80 kilometers away from him when we are in the mode of passion. So but we are away from him. Even in mode of goodness also, we are shackled, we are in chains. But we are little closer to him because we are in knowledge. We know how we are connected to him. Oh, we can break this shackle. We are in knowledge. So that is the difference. But if we have to reach him, then the thing is we have to transcend the modes. We have to go above these modes. For example, I'll try to give an example. Like Yudhishthir Maharaj. Yudhishthir Maharaj, he is in a kind of mode of goodness. He always tries to speak the truth. He tries to follow his dharma in every situation. But then when Krishna wants him to tell lie that Ashwathama mara gaya, Ashwathama is killed, he is hesitant. So mode of goodness does not help him to accept his instruction just in one go. So he's tied by that guna. He's tied. Of course, they are all setting examples for us. They are setting model how we have to transcend. But I'm just quoting it. It does not help. Mode of goodness may be relatively or comparatively more favorable situation for us to practice bhakti. But that is not the all and all of bhakti. We have to transcend. We have to go above all these gunas, be it goodness, passion, or ignorance. For those who are in mode of ignorance, it is very, very difficult for them. 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita explains all the symptoms. How do we identify people who are in the mode of our own selves? Basically, it's a meter for us. Where are we situated? Because it's not that all the time, if we are in mode of goodness, then all the time we'll be in mode of goodness, or all the time we'll be in mode of passion. It's not like that. All the time there is a constant strife going on between the three gunas. Sometimes we are very good. Sometimes we can be so bad that we think, oh, was it I who said this, or was it I who did this? Because all the time the three gunas are pulling us in three different directions. But we have to transcend them. So mode of goodness is very favorable for us to practice bhakti. But mode of passion is very favorable for us to practice bhakti.
Pranamati Hare Krishna, we are not able to hear you.
Maybe some connection problem, Mataji. Internet problem. Mataji will join Mataji because sometimes she is having more internet connection problem. Nowadays, we all are having this problem. So we'll wait for some time. Mataji is rejoining in few minutes. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Yes, Mataji is there. Thank you, Mataji.
I'm so sorry. This is a part of material nature.
You can understand Mataji.
Hey, Krishna. Please, I apologize to everybody for the inconvenience and still bearing with that.
We can understand Mataji. Krishna.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
So-
Vaishnavas are compassionate.
So Mataji, can we take other questions, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, I'm perfectly fine.
So Mamta Mataji, you can please unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much, Mataji, for explaining beautifully about the material nature. Mataji, my question was related to Anni Mataji. Mataji, as we are trying to practice in KC, trying to be a sadhaka, but still we are entangled in the material world. We so many things we know, we are hearing, even we are reading from the shastras, still we are doing same mistake as a conditional soul. So Mataji, what about the hope of those people who they are not practicing in KC, even they are not to listen the things what is actually correct, what is written in shastra. So uh, how can we help them by the simple little practical things, not the in shastric level, because they are not ready to hear.
Yes.
So Mataji, the small tips in practically we day-to-day life, how can we help them? Even for me also, Mataji, practically.
No, it applies to everybody. One of the simplest thing is even if we put tilak, and the other person looks at it, that is also helpful. Even without opening our mouth, that in itself reminds the other person of so many things. I remember like when I was working, I worked for several organizations for a very long time. And Krishna's mercy, it was all at a very senior position. But there has never been a day when I have gone without tilak. Even for the interview, also, I used to go with the tilak. You have to accept me the way I am. And in the beginning, they would ask, why have you put tilak? What does it indicate? Why can't you come without it? But it was giving me an opportunity. And I must thank like our Prabhupada, our Guru, and all the Vaishnavas. Generally, nobody will find me, in a sad face. I don't know, it just comes to me very naturally that one will find me smiling. So many people used to come and ask me, they used to call me madam instead of mataji in the office. But they would ask, how can you be so tension free? How can you be like this? And that gives us an opportunity to say something. Everything, every moment can be an opportunity for us. But this is where we have to exercise intelligence and discrimination, where we have to speak what. Because certain people may be open to us, certain people may not be open even to the idea of saying like accepting something, that we have something called shastras and we should abide shastras. They don't have faith in that. So based on the situation and the patra, we have to decide, but we can preach to everybody, even to plants and animals. I have had first hand experience, in our old house there were 4 5 flower trees. Every day they would give flowers for worshipping our lordships, Shri Radha Kunj Bihari Ji. And when we left that place, I was feeling very bad, like I'm not able to do anything for them. They were serving 365 days, and now we have to leave them. So that time we just prayed and took few, one or two branches from there, and here we planted them. So it was not a very favorable time here to plant, transplant them. But then we just prayed, see, your mother was serving the Lordships 365 days. Please help us. Take us, continue that practice, what your parents did. And please help us also serve the Lordships. And now miraculously they have come up now. So something like where the consciousness is so low, like in plants, we can do with them, we can interact with them, we can definitely do with jivas. It depends how we are presenting it and in what situation, what fact are we. We cannot simply directly go, now start chanting. It may not happen. But if we are chanting, the other person can hear. When we are putting tilak, the other person can see. When they see our conduct, naturally they will ask. So like that, so many ways there is an opportunity, and we have to exercise our there cannot be one rule applicable in all the situations, because the situations are different, audience are different. So according to that, we have to exercise our discrimination. I remember once we were traveling in the train, and one person just came and just went straight to my husband, and he said, "Aap just mera haath dekh lo. You have put tilak na, so you must be a good astrologer. So mera haath dekh ke aap batao kya hai." So he saw his palms, and after that he started preaching. He said, "Now I am giving you a very secret mantra. All the miseries will be gone." He knows little bit of palmistry also. So he told him few things, and immediately he developed faith. And after 2 months, he said, "Your mantra is so powerful. I can experience so many changes in my life." And later on, he revealed that actually he was there to commit suicide, but somehow his decision changed. So we never know in what state one is in. But if we are like able to discern, we can do that. And Krishna gives us the necessary intelligence. If we have the sincere desire to serve, Krishna will give us the necessary intelligence. He'll give us the remembrance also, and we accordingly will be able to say the right word at the right time, because he is situated in his heart as well as in our heart. He is there as Paramatma in his heart, he is there as Paramatma in our heart. So if we are having that sincere desire that I want to serve you, Krishna, please help me in that, he will definitely help us. So that is the secret, that everywhere we have to surrender ourselves, that I'm just an instrument. I want to spread your name. I want to spread the happiness that I'm experiencing in my life to the other soul also. Please help me. You are anyways eager to have us back. So help me do that. Let me be your nimitta. So I'm sure he will help us. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Pranam.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Mataji, it is very late for you, but can we take this question?
Yes, we can have one last question.
Shyam Siddhi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Mataji, it was actually when you mentioned that when we do deity worship, we are seeing the lordships in the form of Lakshmi Narayan that you mentioned, right? So, Mataji, I actually am not aware of it, that we look in that way, in that form. Could you please elaborate a bit?
Yeah, little bit I can try. Like, of course, we know that we can have sambandha with Krishna in different mellows. Like it can be in Shantarasa, it can be in Dasarasa, Sakhyarasa, Madhurya Vatsalyarasa, it can be anything. But then, since we are in this material world and we have a tendency, to show off also, and even to speculate, we can take wrong path. So you must have seen also here in India, when we go to Vrindavan, you can see many people of different sampradayas. They think that they are connected to Krishna in Gopi Bhava. So even men will be dressed as gopis, as girls, and they'll be trying to worship Krishna. So in order to keep ourselves safe from that speculation, Prabhupada instructed us that if we worship our Vigraha in the mood of reverence, because the moment we have Lakshmi Narayana mood means we are holding them high, they are on a pedestal. When we say no, we are in Sakhya Bhava, then we'll be on the same plane. So then we cannot have the proper service, because now here we are contaminated. The three gunas are dominating on us. So as long as we are in that conditioned and contaminated state, we have to have awe and reverence for the Lord. We have to bend. We have to do pranam to the Lord. When we consider him, oh, he is my chota lalla, I am his mother, I am in Vatsalya Rasa, then we will not bow down to him. But if we consider him in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan, then we will try to serve him properly with awe and with reverence. Then slowly, as our sadhana helps us in purifying us, then later on it's mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that Krishna reveals our original form in our heart. So that is later, but till then we have to respect Krishna. We have to have awe of him, that he is so great. So that way, in that mood, it is meant that as Lakshmi Narayan, we may dress him as Kunj Bihari, as a Shyama Sundar. That is different, but we have to have that fear of him also. That fear element also has to be. Fear is not the correct word. Actually, awe and reverence. That has to be there. So this is the thing that is to be understood when Prabhupada said that we have to have that Lakshmi Narayana mood. As we are afraid of king, if somebody says our prime minister is coming to meet us, we will not say I'm in Vatsalya Bhava with our prime minister. No, we will be in awe of him. We'll make sure, oh, everything is, properly arranged, perfectly arranged. The moment he enters, these people are in charge. Now you'll be taking care of showering flowers on him, making him seated. You'll be offering water to him at the right time. Everything should be cooked properly. Why? Because we have respect, we have awe for him, we have reverence for him. So same way we have to do for the lordships also. Yes, he is the king and we have to serve him, and everything has to be done immaculately as much as possible. So that